Winding the bobbin. If you have a vertical spool pin, this is the spool pin which holds the thread. Make sure that it is pulled all the way up. If you are able to push it down and pull it up, you have what's called a telescoping spool pin. It should be in the upward position all the way up when you are sewing, and in the down position when you are storing or transporting your machine. If you have a horizontal spool pin which lays across, you will need to use a spool pin holder to make sure that your spool of thread stays stationary on your machine. To wind the bobbin, place a spool thread onto the spool holder. With brother machines, if you have a vertical, the thread comes from the inside or it is closest to you when coming off of the spool. Pull it over to the thread guide on the opposite side of your machine. You may also notice some steps on the top of your machine. For brother machines, you will follow the dash lines. For some Singer machines, you will follow the solid line for the bobbin winding process. So step 1, you will actually pull your thread around underneath the tension disc and then back around on top and back over to the left near the spool. Step 2, you will take your bobbin, and in the center of your bobbin, you will locate the hole and thread the thread up through the hole from the center of the bobbin and pull a generous tail of thread towards the top. Once you have your long tail of thread, you will take the bobbin, and from the thread that's coming from the spool of thread, the entire spool, you will want to go ahead and wrap several revolutions of thread around your bobbin. This will aid in the starting process when you start to wind it. So you have several revolutions of thread already on the bobbin. For brother machines, if you look at step 2, you'll see the dash line goes behind the bobbin. So we want to have our thread going behind or on the inside of the bobbin. You'll go ahead and place it onto the bobbin winding spool, which looks sort of like a spool pin, but it's shorter. And it's located right next to the spool pin. You will notice that it looks like it doesn't go all the way down. That's because you will want to make sure that you have placed this underneath or right over a clip or hook on the bobbin winder. And once you've got it over that little hook, then you can push it down and you will hear the click. Once you hear the click, it is now in place, and you want to cut away the long tail of thread. Always, always, always cut away this long tail. If you do not do that, it's very important that you do. If you don't, it may get caught up underneath this area or wrapped up and cause the machine to jam. So make sure it is cut away. Once it's cut away, you can engage by pushing the bobbin winder against the bobbin stopper And we'll go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to make sure that you have your thread that comes off the spool and the thread that's going over to the bobbin is nice and tight. Okay. I will go ahead and start the process, and you will see a little bit of thread wind onto the bobbin. At this point, I'm going to pause my video and reposition the camera so you can see the thread winding onto the bobbin from the side. There will be several things that we will look for as we are winding it from the side. Okay, as I continue with this process, you want to make sure that you look along this inside of the bobbin. Make sure that it's a straight line, it has no curves and no slants, no bumps, and it's very smooth. Now as I'm winding this, you can see that there's a little bit of bump or curve right in the middle, and there's little less thread at the top and a little less thread at the bottom. How we correct that, because we want a smooth surface, is there are times when you may need to hold your finger underneath the thread to direct the thread to the top to smooth it out. Or you may need to hold your thumb or finger on top so that it directs the thread to the bottom. In any case, the objective is to get a smooth line or a straight line as possible in the middle of the bobbin, or going down the bobbin, I should say. Now, I'm going to stop again. There are some machines that will wind thread all the way out to the very edge of the bobbin, and some will not go so far. Some will only give a bobbin that looks maybe halfway full. In either case, some machines will actually slow down when the bobbin winding process is completed, or it comes to a slow, a full bobbin, or some machines will actually stop. And then other machines, if you have an LED display, will tell you bobbin full. So we'll continue on until our bobbin is full. So as you can see, it's starting to slow, and it's slowing down to a crawl. So that tells us that we pretty much have a full bobbin, and it has now stopped. So we've got a full bobbin at this point. No need to go any further. You simply cut your thread, and you have a complete bobbin ready to drop in, and it's full and it has straight lines on the edges. And that's how you wind a bobbin.